And we are back with the next entry in the Gamera series, Gamera vs. Jiger. It's been long enough. I think it's time. Sixth entry in the series, and this time things are reeling back a little bit. After the last two movies had aliens in the villain roles, with Gamera vs. Jiger flat out being set in space, this movie takes Gamera back to a more grounded feel. There's no space aliens, no UFOs, nothing like that. The enemy monster, Jiger, is from Earth, and the whole movie stays on Earth. It's kind of refreshing, to be honest. The English title for this one was Gamera vs. Monster X. Okay, well, at least they finally put Gamera's name in the title of his own movie, so we're a step in the right direction. But why not put Jiger in the title as well? What the hell is Monster X supposed to tell us? Not to mention, Godzilla featured a monster called Monster X. Although, to be fair, this was decades after this movie came out, so I guess it's not really a fair comparison. But still, why not just use the original title? It makes no sense. Scientists discover an ancient relic called the Devil's Whistle and remove it from the ground for study. Every time the statue's on screen, it makes an obnoxious ringing noise. Not fun if you hate static noises. Naturally, this awakens the monster Jiger, who the whistle had been keeping asleep all this time. Jiger isn't a particularly crazy design, just kind of a simple dinosaur lizard-looking creature, which I kind of like. It gives her a familiar look. One little scene I've always loved is how as soon as Jiger awakens and crawls out of the ground, the first thing she does is get a drink of water. It's such a simple little action, but I guess if you were buried underground for thousands of years, you'd probably be pretty thirsty too. It's just such a funny little detail that would usually be completely overlooked by these types of movies. Gamera shows up pretty quickly, of course, and the two monsters fight. Gamera seems to win, but then Jiger whips out enemy power number 1, spikes. She shoots spikes into Gamera's limbs so he can't retreat into his shell and fly away. So Gamera's in trouble, as always, and Jiger goes on a rampage through the city, as always. Another power Jiger has is using some sort of death ray thing, I guess, that turns people into skeletons. The effect is great, and it reminds me a lot of Hedorah, the smog monster from Godzilla. Something I should mention now is that in order to talk about all the notable things that happen in this movie, and there is a lot, I'm gonna have to go a little more in-depth with the plot than I usually do, so I guess consider this a spoiler warning for this old kaiju movie nobody cares about anymore. Eventually, Gamera gets free and fights Jiger for the second time. It's a solid fight, still pretty cartoony and weird, but not quite as awkward as the previous movie's fights. But once again, Gamera goes down, this time by another secret weapon Jiger has, sticking Gamera with a needle that immobilizes him. The scientists explain that Jiger has planted a parasite into Gamera's lung, essentially impregnating him with a Jiger baby. Then comes one of the grossest, most notorious moments in the entire franchise. To illustrate what's happening to Gamera, they present real, actual stock footage of an elephant whose trunk was swollen with parasites. They outright show the elephant's trunk being slit open and larvae spilling out. It's a short scene, it's in black and white, but why on earth was that necessary to show? I think we get the idea of what's happening. Why do we need such a disgusting visual? Anyway, to solve the problem, two kids borrow a yellow submarine to go into Gamera's body and find the parasite. Yes, a yellow submarine, just like Gamera vs. Virus. It's always either a spaceship or a submarine with these movies. It's worth noting, this is the last of the Gamera movies to have a duo of a Japanese kid and a white kid in the lead roles. After this, it went back to exclusively Japanese kids. So the boys successfully go into Gamera's body and find the baby Jiger. They find that radio static noises can kill it and figure that must be regular Jiger's weakness as well. So the scientists revive Gamera and round 3 begins. At one point Gamera gets blasted by Jiger's death ray and shoves telephone poles into his ears to defend himself. So I guess the death ray is sound-based? Who cares. The fight ends with Gamera stabbing Jiger through the head with the Devil's Whistle statue. I gotta say, I've mentioned how surprisingly gory Gamera can be, but this one's definitely a bit gorier than usual. This one wasn't even released under the Just for Kids VHS label in the States back in the day. That should say something. While this film is more down to earth than previous entries, this one's honestly just kinda there. I'd say it's better than Gamera vs. Giran, but that movie was way more of a spectacle to watch. This one is just another Gamera movie, more so than any of the previous entries. The effects are still excellent and the monster duels are cool, but that's only about maybe 20% of the movie. The rest is human stuff, and when it comes to Gamera, no one's here for that. And with that, we are officially halfway through the entire Gamera series. Yeah, I know, it's been almost 50 reviews and I'm only halfway through with this series. How long is this gonna drag out? Well, the good news is that there's only 2 Showa-era movies left. And boy, if you thought Gamera vs. Jiger felt tired. Oh, you'd better be seated when we reach these last 2.